Good day, everyone. My name is Tori Giffen. I am the Assistant Director of Online Programs here at the College of Education at the University of Illinois. I want to thank you all for joining us today on our Sustainability Education Graduate Certificate Information session. Uh, really glad to see you all and excited to talk about this new program here that we have in the College of Education. While we are getting started, I just want to remind folks that you are muted upon entry. We ask that you please stay muted until we get to the Q&A session. If you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to type them in the chat. We can answer those. We will also have plenty of time to answer any questions you might have about the program or the university or online programs here at the end. And just a reminder that the session is being recorded, so it will be able to get sent out to you later for viewing. So thank you all for joining us for the Sustainability Education Graduate Certificate. Would love to hear what's your interest in sustainability, why are you interested in this program. Please feel free to type that in the chat. During the session, we will cover the eligibility structure, admissions, and career paths. If you have questions about any of our other online programs, please feel free to email us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu, and we can answer those for you. Also, if you have a question, or you're watching this back later, that doesn't get answered, you can email us and we can answer that question for you. So with that, I just want to briefly introduce some of our staff in the online programs. There's Gina Pfaff in our office, Online Academic Student Services Coordinator. There's myself, Assistant Director of Online Programs. We have Brianna Davis, who's the Online Student Advisor, and we have Sangeetha Gopalakrishnan, the Assistant Dean for Online Learning and Innovation Online Programs. They're all here with us on the call today, so if they are answering any of your questions, they're here with the university. With that, I'm going to turn things over to Sam, who has joined us from the program to share a bit about the faculty and program itself.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Sam Lindgren, and I am an assistant professor in the Department of Education Policy, Organization, and Leadership, which is where the Sustainability Education program is housed. There are 4 of us that are part of the program. I teach 2 of the courses, and Dr. John Hale teaches 1 of the required courses for the certificate. Our colleagues, Dr. Corinne Vajurin and Dr. Jen Johnson, also teach courses in the Sustainability Education Certificate. We have several programs. Is now a good time to talk about the courses themselves, Tori? We have 2 required courses for this program. The first one is EPOL 421, Education for Global Environmental Sustainability, which takes a global lens to issues of sustainability and climate change with connections to sustainable development and education's role in promoting more sustainable futures. EPOL 504, Foundations of Sustainability Education, is the course taught by my colleague, Dr. John Hale. And this is where we really get into the historical and contemporary issues of sustainability education. So you can imagine doing a deep dive into the origins of the climate crisis and then the role of education and the way that that's developed in response over the last couple of decades. We have a couple of different electives for you to choose that can be tailored to your own interests. So our teaching methods courses are appropriate for those of you who are teachers or who are interested in non-formal education, like a nature center or a museum or something along those lines. So it would be EPOL 503 and 507. Dr. Jennifer Johnson is an Indigenous scholar, and she teaches EPOL 512, which is an Indigenous Ways of Knowing course. There are deep connections between sustainability education and other global traditions, including Indigenous knowledge systems. And so you can get that from her. And then I also teach EPOL 524, which is Education and Human Rights. Our program does take the perspective that climate change and a healthy planetary future is a human right for us and for future generations. And so that can also be one of the courses taken as the plan of study. So people who would take the certificate, hopefully those of you who are here today will be interested. It's appropriate and it's great for current and future teachers and administrators, people who work in policy and for nonprofit and advocacy organizations. We can also see good overlap and synergies with the sustainability arms or corporate responsibility arms of larger corporations and organizations as well. We did launch the sustainability certificate just the last half of this last semester. So we just sort of finished term B, but we had a couple of students who had taken all of the courses as part of other program areas, and they were able to secure this certificate upon their graduation this spring. And so Logan Pender is a master's student who just recently completed the certificate. Logan is now getting his PhD at the University of Arizona in global relations and higher education. And Logan's been really involved, partly through working with the sustainability certificate at youth forums at the United Nations. So there's really good intersections there between some of the work that the United Nations and these national organizations are doing with our program. And you can kind of see how the certificate reshaped the way that Logan was thinking about both education and global diplomacy. And then the second testimonial here is from my student, Brian Lake, who was an elementary school teacher in the Champaign-Urbana area for 21 years. And Brian was feeling dissatisfied with the rigid curriculum of his school, and he was interested in exploring more holistic ways of education and what education might be like and better serve students in this uncertain future that we are approaching. And so Brian has come back to school and he took the certificate, and he talks here about how he was able to engage with exploring Indigenous knowledge systems and land-based pedagogies and thinking about ways that students can be more engaged in non-Western approaches to education, to spend time outside, the role of joy and regeneration in education. And so these are just some examples of the ways that our current students have found meaning in the certificate, and that you too might find some meaning in the certificate.
And with that, Brianna Davis is going to share a bit about admissions.
Yeah, hi there. My name is Brianna Davis. I'm the online student advisor here at the College of Education. I work with our online graduate student population. Admissions are going to be handled through our graduate college application. So if you have interest in being considered for admission to this program, you will need to submit an application to the graduate college. After you submit that application, our department and program leaders will make an admission recommendation. And then from there, your application is then sent to the graduate college, who will make a final admission decision based on campus requirements. Admission decisions are sent to applicants via email, and we've included the link here where you can access that grad college application. We operate on a rolling admission basis for this program. Our upcoming application deadlines are for Fall A and Fall B. Our Fall A term will begin in August. It's an 8-week term, and then it is followed by our Fall B term, which is another 8-week term that begins in October. If you're interested in beginning your studies in August, you will want to apply by that July 15th deadline. And if you're interested in beginning your studies in October, September 15th is the deadline for that. And then lastly, I do want to highlight that this program is financial aid eligible. Or as of, I should say, fall 2026, the price per credit hour is $555. That includes the online fee for students. Tuition is subject to change, so please be mindful of that. Full-time status for financial aid purposes is 4 credit hours per semester, which is 1 course. Full-time status for other purposes is 8 credit hours per semester, which is 2 courses. Typically in this program, we would recommend that you take no more than 2 courses in this program, so it aligns pretty well with these status classifications. Financial aid is circumstantial to everyone. So if you do have questions about your options when it comes to financial aid, I strongly encourage that you contact our Office of Student Financial Aid directly. We've got their contact information listed here, and they will be happy to provide you with information about your options and what your next steps might be.
And with that, we're getting ready to get into the Q&A for any questions that you might have, but we do hope that you will consider registering and enrolling for this program with us here at the University of Illinois. We are a top-tier research institution. We are regularly top ranked in U.S. News and World Report. Taking a look at our peers, our programs, we believe, are pretty affordable. We have wonderful faculty, as you heard about some of those that are associated with this program. Our programs have an online student engagement focus. You get access to peers from all around the globe and a diverse background. And we have extensive resources for online students. All of our online students also get access to our library services here at the university, which are also world-renowned. With that, if anybody here with us today has any questions, we would love to have them. Applications are already open for fall, and so if you are interested in applying, you can go ahead and apply now. With that, does anyone have any questions about this program? No,
while people are thinking about questions, I did want to highlight that as a part of this application process, you'll need to attach an updated copy of your resume, and then unofficial transcripts in order to be considered for admission. If you're later admitted to the program, the Graduate College will require you to submit official transcripts, but for admission consideration, unofficial transcripts are sufficient, and there is no application fee. So I did want to note those different things.
One of the other questions that we do get from time to time about these graduate certificates is, can you apply for a master's degree program while you are enrolled in this graduate certificate program, for example? Brianna, could you answer that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you pursue this certificate program first, the certificate is stackable into our master's programs in EPAL. Specifically, and Sam, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but specifically the Global Studies and Education concentration is where we find that this certificate is most transferable. So if you decide that you would like to complete this certificate first with either the 3 or 4 course route, and then you pursue the master's degree following, those courses that you complete in the certificate program will count towards your progress in the master's. So it's kind of a nice way to stack credentials to earn several credentials as you work your way towards that master's program.
I did get a question sent to me here back about the courses. So I'm going to go back to this slide. Is there a required order for the courses as students go through, Sam?
There is not a required order, although it sort of ends up being that way because we offer one course every half term of the semester. So we operate on term A and term B in each the fall semester and the spring semester. So each of those courses are 8 weeks in length. And because we're a short certificate, there's only you can finish it in 3 courses. You could finish this in a semester and a half. And so the order ends up sort of being whenever you start the program, you would take the course that was then offered that next term. And so this coming fall in term A, we are offering ePOL 504. So that's right away in August. And then in term B, which begins in October this fall, ePOL 524 is being offered. In the spring term A, so right after the winter break in January, ePOL 503 is being offered. And this first time we're offering 503, it'll be a combination of 503 and 507 until the program grows and we offer both of those independently. And then in term B, we're offering both ePOL 512, Indigenous Ways of Knowing, and ePOL 421. And that way, no matter what semester a student joins the certificate program, there will always be one required course being offered that semester and an elective. I hope that answers that question.
Thank you for that. I did see we had one person who joined us a bit late. Just wanted to let them know that the session was recorded. We are in the Q&A portion of the session. So if you have questions, we have a small enough group, we could answer any of your questions, even about things that you may have potentially missed.
So Sam, essentially someone who starts in fall can finish by spring. They can get their certificate at the end of the spring semester.
Yes, that's correct.
If you have any questions, you can send them to any of us directly. You can send it to me directly. I'm happy to ask it for you. I had the one question that was sent to me. Or you could unmute yourself and ask that question, or you could type it in the chat.
So I have a question for Sam. I know you've spoken to this in other at other occasions. Like what is your what is the story behind how you ended up in this field?
Yeah, thanks, Sangeeta. I was a classroom teacher for 10 years and then a curriculum designer in science and engineering education. But I've always been interested in climate change. I'm from a family that well, it's actually kind of interesting. I'm from a politically conservative family, but we were always very environmentally conscious. And so that was kind of a weird tension to grow up with. Became a teacher. I maintained that environmental and climate awareness and concern. And then I did my PhD work in agricultural and biological engineering, which seems like that would be unrelated or not related closely to education. But in fact, I studied sustainable energy there. Coming to the College of Education, I began to see the big disconnect between sustainable development around the world, which is largely needed because of global climate change and capitalism. And this, it's all because of the way that the global north has gone about business for the last couple hundred years. And so this particular certificate addresses some of those big global questions, and it does address global climate change, but it also interrogates the differences between global south and global north responsibility and the way that we are approaching climate change really as an issue of justice. Because while the global north has been the largest contributors to global climate change, we are experiencing the fewest impacts, where countries in the global south, particularly small island nations, are the smallest contributors to global carbon emissions and therefore climate change, but they're the ones that are experiencing the most acute impacts. And so we do look at this through a justice lens and take a historical lens to it as well. Thank you, Sangeeta.
Thank you. I think it's always interesting to hear these backstories.
I did get a question about, so if somebody were to do this graduate certificate, which of the ePOL master's concentrations would probably be a best fit or most closely aligned, since they said that they saw that there is not a sustainability education like concentration specifically.
Yeah, it's a great question. So the Global Studies and Education Master's Program has the most alignment. The entire certificate would fulfill both required courses in the Global Studies and Education Master's degree and all of the electives that they could serve as electives for that master's program. We hope eventually there will be a Sustainability Education Master's program, but for now, GSE, Global Studies and Education, is the best fit. Though there are also good synergies with history of education. So the Indigenous ways of knowing in the foundations class would work well with the history if someone was interested in a master's or a PhD there as well.
Thank you. And thank you for that question. For those of us who are still with us, in case you're thinking of anything else, we'd just like your feedback on how the session went. Again, want to remind folks, if you're watching this recording back later, or for those of you who are here now, if you have any questions about this program, or if you'd like some more information or anything like that, you can email us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu. Be happy to answer those questions for you. With that, it seems like we have answered everybody's questions today. So thank you everyone who was able to join us, and thanks for those of you who are watching this session back later. We really appreciate your time and interest in the Sustainability Education Graduate Certificate Program. As a last reminder, applications are open, and if you want to start in fall term A, that is July 15th is the first deadline. And if you would like to start in October for term B in the fall, that is September 15th. So want to thank everybody who was able to join us today, and thank you all who are watching this session back later. Have a great day, everyone.